Okay, where are we? We're on page 65. Siman Chofei, Seif Vov. So that's the bottom line of the Shulchan Aruch. The last line of the Shulchan Aruch, Seif Vov. Im Poga B'Shel Rosh Tchila. Tzorich Lahaver Aloiso HaMitzvah V'yanech Shel Yad Tchila V'achar Kach Shel Rosh. So what we mentioned that first of all we put on the Tefillen Shel Yad. Afterwards we put on the Tefillen Shel Rosh. Why is it in that order? Because that's the order that's written in the Pasuk. Right? Each time Tefillen is mentioned in the Torah, it's always mentioned first first of all the Tefillen Shel Yad, and after the Shel Rosh. So what happens if he touched? We've also mentioned that there's an Indian called Ein Mavir and Ala Mitzvahs. Right? We saw with Talis and Tefillin. Even though one's supposed to put on the Tefillin Shel the talis before tefillin, if he touches, if he's closer to the tefillin, he has to put them on first, because ein mavin mitzvah, you can't pass over a mitzvah. Even though it's preferable to put on the talis before the tefillin, one can't pass over the mitzvah. If he sees that if he has the mitzvah tefillin in front of him, he mustn't pass over it to get to do talis fast. Question is, what happens with tefillin? If he's supposed to put on the tefillin shel yad before the tefillin shel rosh, what happens if he touches the tefillin shel rosh first? Does he have to put it on first because of the concept of ein mavin ala mitzvahs? So it says here in the Shulchan Aruch that if he touches the Shel Rosh first, he has to pass over it and put on the Tefilin Shel Yad. So this is not like what we saw with Talis and Tefillin. Here, the order of putting on the Shel Yad before the Shel Rosh is more important than the concept of Ein Mavin Ala Mitzvahs. Right? Let's see why. It says in MISHNA Berura cooking-bishul base. Dafka Poga. אבל למניח של ראש תחילה או שמוצא של יד שנשמט במקומו אין עושה של ראש. This is only if he actually if he touched it. Right? This is only if he just touched the tefillin shel rosh. But if he actually put on the shel rosh first, or he found the shel yad had fallen out of its place, he's ein lahoseh shel rosh. He doesn't have to take off the shel rosh. What's happened has happened. Even cholik in this case. So if he touches the tefillin shel rosh first, then he has to put on the tefillin shel rosh. It's very important he puts them on in the right order, the shel rosh and then the shel yad. Even if he has to pass over the other way. Yad and rosh. So he has to put on the tefillin shel yad and then the shel rosh. So even if he touches the shel rosh, he has to pass over that mitzvah and put on the shel yad first. However, if he's already put on the tefillin shel rosh, he doesn't have to take it off in order to put it on the shel yad before the tefillin shel rosh.
This doesn't explain why.
We're going to do the why. Sorry, the why's coming. We're going to get to the why in a second. Yeah, we haven't explained the why. Very good. So if you put on the shel rosh first, it doesn't have to take it off. Similarly, if the shel yad slips out of its place, happens occasionally, if it wasn't tightened well, slips out of its place, and he's already put on the tefillin shel rosh, right, if it's out of place, as if he's not wearing it. Right? So he's got the tefillin shel rosh on, he hasn't got the tefillin shel yad on. He can then put the tefillin shel yad in the right place. He doesn't have to remove the tefillin shel rosh in order that he has in the right order. Okay? Now we're going to get to the why. Let's see the why. That's the next MISHNA Berura Sifkot and Chof Gimel. להעביר, כיוון דכסיב בקרוא, מפורש דיד קודם. The reason why in this case one does pass over the mitzvah, the reason why in this case it's so important to put it in the right order is because it's written clearly in the pasuk in this order, shel yad and then shel rosh. First you tie on the shel yad, and afterwards it's a l'toitofos beinenecha, then you put on the tefillin shel rosh. Lefichach ein mashkichin al avot ha-mitzvahs. Therefore, in this case, the order is more important than the concept of not passing over mitzvahs. In contrast to the case of talis and tefillin, where it didn't say in the pasuk, it doesn't say which order to put it on. We had the svara, we explained different reasons why one should put the tzitzis on before the tefillin. But in that case, the concept of ein mavirin ala mitzvahs, not to pass over mitzvah, takes precedence. and therefore if one was to touch the tefillin shast or even be closer to tefillin, one puts them on before the tzitzis. As opposed to this case of tefillin, where it's written clearly in the pasuk that the sheliad comes first, and therefore it's more important than the concept of passing over mitzvahs. Let's now see the next seif, seif zayin. Back to the Shulchan Aruch, top line of the Shulchan Aruch. Yivorich lehoniach bekomat tachas hahei v'loi bepatach uvedogish. The bracha is lehoniach tefillin, not lehaniach. Right? There are two different words in Lashon HaKodesh. Let's see the MISHNA Berura of Cotton Chav Daled. Lehoniach bekomat shehu Lashon hanocha. Kama shekosav lehoniach beracha al beisecha. Lehoniach is to place. V'loi bepatach shehu Lashon aziva. Bepatach lehaniach is to leave. Kama shekosav achichem echod hanichu eti. Says with Yosef, when Yosef allowed the brothers to return to Eretz Canaan, he said, leave one brother behind. He kept Shimon with him in Mitzrayim. So laniach is to leave. So the bracha is lohoniach tefillin with a comma. Seif ches, back to Shulchan Aruch. Seif ches. Kol ha-mitzvahs mevorich aleim oiver la'asiyoson. All mitzvahs have to be, the bracha on all mitzvahs has to be oiver la'asiyoson. What does over mean? So the Gemara explains. Pirush koidem. Over means before one does the mitzvah. It gives an example from the pasuk. Vayavas hakushi pirushoi rotz v'hiktim lefono. And he overtook the kushi. Went in front of the kushi. So there, the lashon we see the lashon over means to go in front of. So the mitzvahs have to be the brachas, berachas and mitzvahs has to always be over la'asiyoson just before one does the mitzvah. לפיכך צריך לברך על התפילה של יד אחר הנוחו על הכיבוירס קודם קשירוסם שהקשירוסם זו יעשיוסם. The mitzvah is kshartam, to tie on one's arm, and therefore the correct time to make the bracha is after one puts it on his arm, before he ties it. The mitzvah is tying, and therefore he makes it immediately before tying. This is a Hagor v'chein b'shalrosh kodem shebahad kon b'roishe. Similarly with the shalrosh, one makes the bracha on the shalrosh immediately before tightening it on one's head. This is a rule which applies to all berachas hamitzvahs, shofar, lulav, all the various different and berachas hamitzvahs. We make them all just immediately before doing the mitzvah. It's called over la'asiyoson. Let's see the MISHNA Berura of Cotton.
Just one question.
Yes.
The parentheses, Perush Kodim.
Yes.
Who's that by? Is that the Shulchan Aruch explaining itself, or is that the Haggadah explaining the Shulchan Aruch?
Good question. It's not always easy to know. There are a lot in this case I do think it's the Ramah, but there are cases when there are explanations of words which are not the Ramah. The printers or that added in. It's not always the Ramah. Sometimes it's difficult to know. For example, this is a good example of where it's difficult to see who, if it's the Ramah or not the Ramah. Okay, let's have a look at the MISHNA Berura. MISHNA Berura of Cotton Chov. Hey. Achra nocha v'chola. Why doesn't one make the bracha before even placing the tefillin on one's arm? We mentioned it's after placing on the arm, before tying. Why not before one places the arm? That's called koidem de koidem. That's too early. It has to be immediately before. I did that word, and it has to be immediately before. Over la'asiyoson means one has to make the bracha before doing the mitzvah. But it mustn't be koidem de koidem. It mustn't be too early. It has to be immediately preceding the mitzvah. So if one puts it on, if one makes the bracha before even putting it on one's arm, that's too early, not immediately preceding the mitzvah. So one has to, we have to make the bracha as close as possible to doing the mitzvah. So we make it after putting on the arm, before tying. The mitzvah sheyesh lo meshech zman hu b'kol hayoyma. If one didn't make the bracha, one tied on the tefillin, and then he realizes he hasn't yet made the bracha, he can still make the bracha, because as long as he's wearing the tefillin, he's being makayim the mitzvah. and therefore we can make the bracha even after the tefillin are already in place. B'diavad. So we've got noch auf sein kodem shemhat kommt ki ahidik hu mitzvas hakshiro. The tightening the tefillin on the arm, that is the mitzvah of tying on tefillin onto our arm. So gam ken li zohar shir ha-bracha achar shemonochem al ha-rosh. Similarly, with the tefillin shel rosh, one has to make the bracha after one places the tefillin on his head. One shouldn't make the bracha while one's still holding the tefillin shel rosh before he places it on his head. For the same reason, it has to be immediately preceding the mitzvah. The mitzvah is to tighten it, and therefore one should first put on the tefillin and then tighten it. If one tightens it before, if one makes the bracha before putting the tefillin shel rosh on his head, that's called koidem to koidem. It's too early. Gam b'shas bracha shel tefillin shel rosh, yireh sheyeh mechusar roisha b'talis v'yavach b'gidei rosh. One has to make sure not to make the bracha of tefillin shel rosh with his head uncovered. Right? One can't make a bracha with his head uncovered. You have to make sure his head is covered with something. With a kippah, with a kippah, with a talis when making the bracha. Because sometimes one removes it depending on the size. Sometimes one has to remove the kippah in order to put the tefillin shel rosh on. One has to make sure when one makes the bracha, his head is covered with the talis.
It doesn't explain here how to have it on your head and not be mekayim the mitzvah. Because you don't put it in place. My understanding is you hold it above or.
Until one's tightened it on one's head, it's not properly in place.
So you just said
we place it on the head, make the bracha, and then we tighten it on. Right, that's what the MISHNA Berura, again. If we read the MISHNA Berura,
that's what he seems to be saying.
Yeah, correct. One places it on one's head, and then one makes the bracha, then one tightens it and makes sure it's in the correct place.
Is the mitzvah of tefillin one mitzvah or two mitzvahs?
Excellent question, and we're going to see that very, very soon.
Okay.
You want to know the answer now?
No, I was curious if I missed it too.
No, you haven't missed it. You haven't missed it. We're going to see it, and the next simon, the first line of the next simon.
Okay.
So we'll see it in a.
So with tefillin singular?
Sorry?
No, it's plural.
Tefillin is plural.
Although it is.
Tefillah is singular, and tefillin is
Sorry,
plural.
what's singular?
Tefillah.
Tefillah.
Which is davening.
Tefillah. Yeah. It means davening. It also means one box of tefillin is called a tefillah. But generally we call it. We use the word tefillin. We use the word tefillin even if we're referring to one. But grammatically
is
speaking.
That Aramaic? Because really Hebrew would be tefillin.
Right.
Right. So it'd be Aramaic maybe.
Yeah. Yes. So. And the Torah doesn't use the word tefillin. Right. Yeah. But in the way people speak, we're going to see actually it's mentioned in the. You can see that the Shulchan Aruch, that's what the Shulchan Aruch mentioned here, right? Tzorich levorich al tefillah shel yad, right? And then the next if as well, bein tefillah letefillah, right? But the way people speak is they say tefillin shel yad, tefillin shel rosh, but grammatically, one wants to be accurate grammatically, then it's tefillah shel rosh and tefillah shel yad. But the way we speak is people say tefillin. Okay. Let's move on to the next sif test. Also, lahafsik b'dibur bein tefillah shel yad and tefillah shel rosh. Here we have the tefillah shel yad, tefillah, not tefillin. And one may not make any interruption. One may not talk between putting on the tefillin shel yad and the tefillin shel rosh. V'mehifsik mevorich al shel rosh al mitzvahs tefillin. What happens if he made the bracha? If he made the bracha. Sorry, what happens if he made an interruption? So the Shulchan Aruch, remember there's a machlokes between the Shulchan Aruch and the Ramah, what bracha one makes. According to the Shulchan Aruch, one only makes one bracha on the tefillin shel yad, lo niach, and that covers the shel rosh as well. Right? Now, if one made an interruption, then one has to make a new bracha on the shel rosh. One makes the bracha al mitzvahs tefillin. Hagol, so the Ramah, l'didon denagin v'orch shtei brachos. Our minhag is avim lo hifsik. Our minhag is to make our mitzvahs tefillin even if one didn't make an interruption. One always makes the bracha mitzvahs tefillin. Therefore, if one was to make an interruption before the Tefilin Shel Yad and the Tefilin Shel Rosh, one has to remake the original bracha l'haniach also on the Shel Rosh. So if for Ashkenazim we make the bracha Shel l'haniach and put on the Shel Yad, afterwards l'haniach and put on the Shel Rosh, if one doesn't interrupt. If one did have an interruption, then after making the Tefilin Shel, he said l'haniach, put on the Shel Yad, then he made an interruption, he then has to make l'haniach again, and then al mitzvahs, and then put on the Shel Rosh. He's lost the bracha, the interruption invalidates the original bracha. Says the MISHNA Berura of Kotzen.
What's the aleph above the word l'haniach gam?
And that's just the printers put it in to make a correction. If you look at the bottom, they changed it to vegam. Okay. That's just in this print. You won't see that in other prints. That's it, really. Okay. Sivkot chof ches. MISHNA Berura Sivkot chof ches. That's the third last of the narrow lines. Also lafsik. Afilu b'dibush mitzvah. Even for saying something which is a mitzvah, could go in the hoshev shalom l'rabbi, to greet one's rebbe, chol ki agavna. Anything, even if one's talking for the purpose of a mitzvah, one may not talk between the Tefilin Shel Rosh and the Tefilin Shel Yad and the Tefilin Shel Rosh. Because one's causing oneself to make an unnecessary bracha. Even that there's a machlokes we're going to get to about if one puts on tefillin on Chol HaMoed. Even the people who do put on tefillin on Chol HaMoed and they don't make a bracha on it, those who put on tefillin without a bracha, and therefore one's not losing a bracha if one interrupts. Even so, another case where one is not losing a bracha is if one puts on tefillin d'Rabbeinu Tam and he doesn't make a bracha on them. Tefillin d'Rashi. He's putting on tefillin d'Rabbeinu Tam after tefillin d'Rashi. He's not making a bracha. Or if he took off his tefillin with intention of putting them back on afterwards, and also in this case he doesn't make another bracha. So we've come up with three scenarios where he's not making brachos on tefillin. In these three cases where he's not making brachos on tefillin, if he was to interrupt between the tefillin shel yad and tefillin shel rosh, he's not losing a bracha. So in these cases, is it okay to interrupt between them? Says the MISHNA Berura, even in these cases where there's no bracha in between, where one's not losing a bracha, even though it's incorrect, and it's an aveiro to talk in between, to interrupt between these two, the mitzvah, or the tefillin shel yad and tefillin shel rosh. Why? Because we need them to be immediately after each other. It has to be the tefillin shel rosh is immediately after the tefillin shel yad. Why? It says in the pasuk, it should be as a sign on your arm and as a remembrance between your eyes. The v'hoya, it should be, is only written once in the pasuk and it's going on both of them. It should be an os, a sign on your arm, and a remembrance on your head. The it should be is going on both of them. It doesn't repeat the word v'hoya twice, and therefore they are put together in the same phrase, right? It should be the v'hoya is going on both of them. Therefore, we need them to be immediately one after the other, without any interruption between them.
How does this compare to Netilas Yadayim for Hamotzi? You're not supposed to talk between this and Hamotzi.
Doesn't compare at all.
Because this one's in the middle. It's like you'd be talking in the middle of Hamotzi. Netilas Yadayim and Hamotzi, you can say, "Pass me the knife" or "Pass me the salt."
Yes, yeah, it's definitely more similar to that. Yeah, it's not quite the same, but it's definitely more similar to that. Yeah, it's nothing to do. Netilas Yadayim for Hamotzi is a completely different halacha. It's much more lenient than.
Much more lenient.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's really a hechsher for the mitzvah.
Right.
And this is two parts of the mitzvah. Says
Correct. Sivkot Nchov Tes B'Dibur. V'afilu b'Lashon HaKodesh. One may not, we're now on the third of the wide lines. One may not even talk in Lashon HaKodesh. U'lechatchila also afilu l'hafsik b'shtika. Lechatchila, preferably one should not even one should not even have a break between the Tefillen Shel and Tefillen Rosh, even without talking, even to just wait a few moments without talking. If he waits a long time, for no particular reason, even if the whole time he's concentrating on the mitzvah of Tefillin, and even this is not correct to do lechatchila. To wink at someone, or to hit with his to make a sign with his hands, to point at something, even that he should not do. Ben Tefillin sheyad u'ben Tefillin sharosh, gam kein yesh lizor lechatchila. Even this he should preferably not do, not make any interruption, preferably. This, I don't know if the Mishnah was going to mention it, but this is the example given when the Gemara mentions that it was in last week's parasha. Last week's parasha, we just read Parasha Shoftim. Parasha Shoftim, it talked about when one goes to battle. There's the kohen moshuach melchama, the kohen whose job it is to make the various announcements before going to battle. And one of the announcements he makes is anyone who is scared should go back. Anyone who's scared of the battle should go back. And there's a machlokes if it's literally talking about someone who's scared of war, and therefore we worry because he's scared of war, he's going to create panic, and therefore he's going to do more harm than good. Or if it's referring to someone who's scared because he's done an aveira, and that's why he's scared. Because he's done an aveira, he's worried that he hasn't got the schus to save him in the battle.
This is Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yosef Galili.
That's right, very good, yeah. That's very good. There's actually a third opinion in the Mishnah, also Rabbi Yosef, yeah, very good. So the Gemara says that if he's done an aveira, he has to go back. The Gemara says, afilu, even if he was to talk between the Tefillen Sheyad and Tefillen Shalosh. That's the example given. So that's the connection between the parasha and what we're learning now. Okay. Let's just finish off very quickly. It's 22 already.
Last part I have to ask email.
Yeah, well, we haven't got long, so I prefer if we have a look at. Let's have a look at Sifkot Namid base, the second line from the bottom. This is the case where he did talk in between, and he has to remake the bracha l'haniach. He has to make two brachas on the shel rosh, to make the haniach and the mitzvah tefillin. Says the MISHNA Berura, second line from the bottom. It's correct in this case that he should then feel the shel yad and move it a bit out of its place, and then retighten it. And then haniach will go back on the shel yad as well. And then it will be as if he'll be putting on the shel yad and shel rosh close without an interruption. He's solved the problem of interruption. He should not have interrupted. If he did interrupt, if he moves it and then places it back in its place, then again the putting on the shel yad, the tightening of the shel yad and the shel rosh will be immediately one after the other without any break. If he puts it on without moving the shel yad, he should move the shel yad after he made the bracha. Okay, we'll continue. Let's see if yours tomorrow.